Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. And in this video we are going to be continuing on with our C# tutorial series. And in this particular video we are going to be taking a look at the switch case statement in C#. So what is the switch case statement? Well, the switch case statement, also known as a switch statement, is a better more recommended way of being able to have many conditions in a single block. Now, one thing to keep in mind about a switch statement is that switch statements generally don't allow you to have conditions in each case. They simply allow, at least the most basic switch statement, it allows you to see if the value you provide it is equal to whatever the value is for that particular case, right? So in C# there are ways that you can provide different conditions and stuff like that to a case, but we're not going to cover that in this video. We may look into that in the future, but for now, we're not going to worry about it. We're going to take a look at the most basic of switch statements so we can keep this video a little bit more focused. All right, so let's get started with this, and we're going to, again, like we did in the last video, have the user enter a value, and then we're going to use a switch statement to be able to determine what that value is. Okay, so let's say we have a we need a console write, and in here we're going to have enter a even number. Okay. See, let's make sure that I did this right. An even number. Okay, there we go. And so now we can say string number string equals console dot read line int number equals int dot parse number string, like that. Okay, and so now we have that done. As I mentioned in the previous video, if we write the code this way, it could throw an exception if your user enters something invalid. Never trust the user with the input, but because we're just learning, we're not actually creating a serious application, this is fine for what we're doing. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is create a switch statement. Excuse me. So how do we create a switch statement? Well, a switch statement starts with the switch keyword. And then we need to give it the value we want it to evaluate. We need to give it the value, or the variable rather, that we want it to evaluate inside of parentheses. So in this case, it's going to be number. And then we can do all kinds of cases inside of these opening and closing curly brackets. So you can say case 2. And we can say console write line, you entered 2. And then at the end of each case, we need to provide a break statement. Like that. Okay. And then we can do the same thing for the other statements. Okay, so copy this, 4, 6, 8, and we're going to go up to 10. Okay. Ten. 10. 8. Let's say 8. 6. 4. 4. Okay. So now we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 for cases. However, like I mentioned, we need to do breaks at the end of these, and so let's quickly talk about what the break statement is before we continue on. So the break statement is what we call a control flow statement. And without this break, we would be given an error saying that, oh, this can't fall through and whatever. So what they mean by fall through is even if it meets, say, for example, if the condition meets the first case and that matches. A fall through in many other languages is basically something that allows you to just match a statement up at the top, and it just goes all the way down through every other case, and it'll just do whatever the case says at the very bottom. And that's not exactly the functionality that you want all the time, if at all, depending on your use case. So C# doesn't let you do that. It won't let you compile if you don't include a break. So you have to include this break, otherwise it won't break out of the switch and it just won't compile. But we're not done yet with this switch statement. Okay, and when I say we're not done with this, I literally mean we're not done, because there's always a case that we need to include regardless. Even if we have an exhaustive list of cases, we still need to provide what's called a default case. And this default case essentially acts as our else. It's what executes if none of the other cases match. And we can do that by saying default, like that. And then we can say console.writeLine, you entered number. Okay. Cool. And so let's say we can go, so now we can also finally do the final break. Oh. Okay, and break like that. Okay, so now we have our default case. Let's go ahead and run our code now with the Control F5. Okay, so here we are on our console. Go ahead and enter some kind of even number between 2 and 10. So I'm going to say 6. And there it is. You entered 6. But what if I do something like, let's say 16. You entered 16. Okay. And if I go and do an odd number, like 1, you entered 1. And yeah, I know that it's not exactly spelled correctly, but that's fine. I'll fix it for the code that I give you for the video. But that basically is how a switch case statement works. Keep in mind that there are some, keep in mind that again, you can do what's called a switch expression, which can allow you to do some other stuff that the normal switch statement can't do. I will leave that up to you to take a look at. It is a little bit more advanced than the normal switch, but you should be able to get the general gist of how it works if you go out and look at the documentation for it, look at other examples online and whatnot. So that basically does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.